Hello and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here tonight for a whole lot of different reasons. We're going to go a little bit out of order. We were going to do the players first, but rather than have these fire guys wait for all of that hoopla, which it's going to be a hoopla because we haven't had a team in here since before COVID, so this is the first time in the last 32 months that we've had any kind of sports team here to get proclamations, so this is really cool. But I'm going to ask you to be patient as we honor the Woodbridge Fire Company #1 for 125 years of dedicated service, which is pretty darn serious. Let's hear for the Woodbridge. It started in 1897. Here, I'll read the proclamation. Whereas Woodbridge Fire Company #1 was officially organized on October 28, 1897, in response to an enormous fire that blazed through Main Street in Woodbridge. On October 28, 2022, the company celebrated the historic milestone of 125 years of service. So I'd like to ask Todd Howell, what was it like fighting that fire back then? Pretty tough for my wife. All right. Woodbridge Fire Company #1, with headquarters at 418 School Street, has continuously provided prestigious and successful firefighting and emergency response service that would not be possible without the dedicated service and devotion to duty of hundreds of volunteer firemen, Woodbridge residents, and community volunteers who have served the ranks of Woodbridge Fire Company over the last 125 years, along with all paid firemen. And whereas under the current leadership of Chief Mike Capstack and Woodbridge Fire Company #1 President Ron Lemonelli, and the professional and volunteer firefighters and community residents, Woodbridge celebrates 125 years of service. So I would like to ask Ron Lemonelli and or Brian Fee, who are now representing the firehouse as leaders this year, if they'd say a few words about what it is to be part of a group of amazingly dedicated career firefighters and volunteer firefighters to have done this for so long, for so well. Who wants to go first?
All right, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve this fire company as many years as I have, and I know that the past members, current and future members will also be proud to serve this community.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor, the town council, and his representatives for presenting this proclamation. Also, it's an honor to serve as a firefighter. It's a dedication that it's a calling. It's not something you just walk into and say, hey, I want to try it. It's devotion, it's time. You make a lot of sacrifices. It changes your lifestyle. And overall, you're always on call. There's never a dull moment when something goes down when they're looking for your services. Whether it's to talk to someone, go fight a fire, do a fund drive, do a fundraiser, go help out another district, we're always there. And on that last note, I'd like to thank everyone. And someday some of you guys could step up to the plate like we did, because it's a tough job. Thanks.
I'd also like to introduce Bruce Horvath, Tommy Hines, all the way to the right, Tommy McAuliffe, Bill Toth, and Todd Howell. And thank you all. You probably have, I don't know, 300 years of combined service by everybody up here, something like that. Each guy's probably had 30, 40, 50 years of service to the firehouse. Who's the most senior? Todd is? What's your story, Todd? How many years?
57 years.
57 years. That is older than anybody in this whole audience in front of me. There's nobody here 57 years, the old, and Todd served the firehouse for 57 years. I didn't introduce the council, my mistake. Corey Spiller, covering the 3rd Ward of Avenel and Port Reading. Sharon McAuliffe, 1st Ward, Debbie Meehan, 5th Ward, and Howie Bauer, 2nd Ward. Let me call up Sharon McAuliffe, who is the 1st Ward councilwoman, who is going to be sworn in officially tonight after winning the election 5 weeks ago. And she is the daughter of this young man to my far right, Tommy McAuliffe. Sharon, you want to say a few words?
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight to honor these gentlemen up here and the whole entire firehouse for taking care of Woodbridge for the last 125 years. It's a very large area, and these guys do a great job. They're on call. And I remember my dad, when I was little, we used to have this little plectron downstairs, and I still remember the call that we would get, and then we'd be like, oh my gosh, we have to go check out that fire and make sure everybody's okay. So you young men here and women, it's very exciting to be a volunteer fireman, and then it could become a career for you. So it's really something that you might be interested in. In the summertime when school is out, they have a program that you can go there and you can learn what firefighters do. So it's something exciting that you might want to get involved in. When the summertime comes from school, check out the program, come and see what firefighters do, and you'd be really excited to come and see how they serve the community. And thank you all very much.
All right, one more time, Woodbridge Fire. All right, now we are here to honor the Port Reading Saints football team for their 11-3 record in 2022, but also their Central Super Bowl champions, not that Super Bowl, Central Jersey Conference champions, and this is the best part, National Division champions. Keyword there is national, folks, national. So let me start with a guy who is an amazing advocate for Port Reading Saints. He is always, I think he's got me and Corey and Brian on speed dial. He's always calling us, always asking for things that we can do to help the organization, and we're more than happy to do that. We invest in whatever it takes between the field and the parking lot and other things. And as I said, we're down to only a couple of football franchises left in town. So it's our pleasure to be able to help the Port Reading Saints, and you have a tremendous advocate and a tremendous leader in Ryan Hines. And Ryan, you want to say a few words first, pal?
It's been a long time coming. This is pretty awesome to see. And you guys have been together since July, right? Pretty much want to. So enjoy this moment. All right? No, I can't talk, so I'm just going to keep it short.
Before we talk about anybody else, I want to bring up Corey, who is your, if you live in Port Reading, he is your councilman. If you live in Avenel, he's your councilman. If you live anywhere else, like why?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say congratulations. Great organization. Ryan, you and your team, football, cheer, fantastic. I remember growing up with my friends. I didn't play football, but I remember them in the Saints organization back in the 80s. But it's good to have you guys right in our backyard. You do great things. I always love coming down on Sundays or any of your events. Already looking forward to Halloween for your festivities there. But you had a great season, so congratulations. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you.
The coaches, offensive coordinator Corey Hammond. Defensive coordinator Danny Skibar. Assistant coach Joe Santiago. Assistant coach Glenn Moore. Team manager Melissa Spalias. Probably messed that name up. How was it? Nobody. Spala? Spalo? Well, that's what screwed me up. There's a name here. We'll fix it.
That is.
Team manager, he's an easy one, TJ Johnson. Why don't we get a picture of just the coaches? If you guys want to get together and the team manager stay and get a picture.
Yeah, we're.
He looks like a future running back, man.
Fast.
All right, if you guys want to step back a little bit, we'll get all the players in front of you for a picture when they come up. I guess these are in number order.
Yes.
Number 1, Brady Hines. You want to say a few words about what it's like playing for a team that is overseen by your father? I mean, like, after practice, you get extra special criticism from your dad. He yells at everybody else during the game and during the practices. But you go home and he probably still yells at you, right? Sometimes. Tell me about the season.
Really good. Our team did really well. I just want to congratulate all of them for doing a really good job on practice and during the season.
So you lost 3 games during the season,
Yeah.
but then you swept everything since then.
Yeah.
What do you equate that, like, that's not normal, to lose a bunch of games and then to just never lose again. So what do you think that was, you were just kind of getting used to each other and playing together as a team and then you just swept it?
Pretty much.
Oh, good. Okay. Thanks for sharing those very meaningful words. Thank you very much. Jay Green, Santiago, number 2. Armani Maglione, number 3. Shakur, number 4. You want to say anything? No. James Johnson, number 5. No, you're good. If anybody wants to say anything, just let me know. Dylan Diaz, number 7. Braden Hammond, number 8. Quarterback. I bet no one tackles you, man. Tell me what it's like being a quarterback of a national championship team.
I mean, it's great. This is my 2nd year winning a championship, and I've been playing with some of these guys for like years now. And it's just really great that our last year we went with a bang, and I don't know. It's just my last year or so. Most of us are 13, 14, but we have 2 little guys. They're in 7th grade. So
You guys are freshmen in high school?
Yeah, they should.
No, these are all 8th graders.
You're all 8th graders, okay, so you're about to go to high school next year. Now, most of you live in Port Reading, right?
Yes.
No, it's all over? Oh, it's all over, cool, okay, so you're playing together now, but you'll be killing each other and when Kennedy and Colonia play each other, you'll be fighting each other? Not fight, I mean fighting. I don't want you to fight. What's that?
He said group of people going to Woodbridge.
A bunch of going to Woodbridge, all right, very good, thanks, man. Kickball's number 10. Jaden Ruiz, number 11. Braden Payon, number 13. Joseph Santiago, number 15. Glenn Moore, number 18. Mark number 21. Number 22. Yale Abreu, number 24. Can you add number 24? Okay. Leandro Columna, number 31. Edgar Cruz, number 33. Adrian Cepeda, number 43. Jose Cruz, number 54. Marco Rivera, number 55. Lucas Valentin, number 80. And Logan Hines, number 86. I'm asking the same question I asked your brother. Tell me about the season.
The season, it was good. The team played good. Overall, I think it was one of the best seasons except for 2019. We went 2019 10-0. We also won that championship.
All right.
And without the parents, we wouldn't be here right now.
Oh, man. You played the final game of Clark, right? You told me about that, Ryan. I actually was trying to go there. What's this? Oh, I was in touch with team manager Ruth Henriquez. I tried to go to the game, but I really wanted to get there and see at least some of it. So tell me about the final game.
The final
What'd you
game,
play?
we played Bloomfield.
Okay.
The score was 18-12 right there.
Is that like you had 3 touchdowns, they had 2 touchdowns? All right, tell me about who scored the touchdowns for you guys.
I'm pretty sure Kyle scored one.
Which one's Kyle?
Kyle, number 21 right here.
What'd you do? Run the play? You forgot? You don't remember, right? Where else scored? James, where's Jady? What did you do for the winning first score? What'd you do? 2 touchdowns. Get over here, man. All right, so what kind of plays? Off tackle, sweep, right, what?
Any play that coach calls.
Eddie, but which one did you score on?
Those are the dives and the outside run, right?
Well, the first one was the 28 stretch when you come back.
And then it was the
The
side.
second, yeah, the second one was the.
Well, number 18 called the play. He could probably repeat the play. 18 called the play. Quarterback. He could probably repeat the play.
You don't remember the plays?
I mean, you remember the play.
You guys are national champions, man. Shouldn't they know how they got there?
They didn't have to take it.
All right. You're going to look at this picture 40 years from now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Smile, smile.
Good evening and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here today for the always pleasant task of giving individual awards to our police officers. I'm joined tonight by the police director, Bob Hubner. To my left, to his left is Deputy Director Joe Niski. To my right is Second Ward Councilman Howie Bauer, who tonight is his last night as council president. In 2022, he did a terrific job. To his right is Councilwoman at Large Lisbeth DeJesus. To her right, 5th Ward Councilwoman Debbie Meehan. To her right, 1st Ward Councilwoman Sharon McAuliffe, and to her right, 3rd Ward Councilman Corey Spiller. So we're starting off with our police officer of the quarter for the 3rd quarter of 2022. We started this, 4 or 5 years ago? 2012. Wow, 8 years, 10 years ago, 2012, wow. So that means there's been about 30 different officers of the quarter. Well, this officer of the quarter for July 1st, I didn't call you up yet.
He's calling me up, I gotta listen to
Oh, you got to listen to your boss, all right. All I want to know is, do either one of those two sign your paychecks? That makes me the ultimate boss. Yeah. All right, whereas Officer William Schneider, a 27-year veteran of the WPD, assigned to radio patrol, has demonstrated a commitment to policing, law enforcement, and public safety. And whereas during the 3rd quarter, Officer William Schneider responded to over 200 calls for service while conducting self-initiated law enforcement-related investigations, special patrol checks, and contacts, which resulted in enforcement actions to include the issuance of traffic summonses, DUI summonses, enforcement of arrest warrants, and the arrest of defendants on violations of criminal statutes. And whereas the WPD Radio Patrol Division maintains a high alert status throughout the township in response to increasing instances of motor vehicle thefts, burglaries, and related property crime. On August 31st, 2022, Officer William Schneider responded to the area of West Hill Avenue in Colonia of the section of the township to investigate a report of a suspicious vehicle occupied by 4 individuals wearing ski masks. Officer Schneider located the suspicious vehicle, which was reported stolen, and maneuvered his patrol vehicle behind the suspect vehicle. The driver of the stolen vehicle attempted to flee at a high rate of speed, and while passing other vehicles on the wrong side of the road, turned onto a side street and crashed the vehicle. The 4 suspects attempted to flee, but were then quickly located and taken into custody by Officer Schneider and responding Woodbridge Police Department officers. And whereas Schneider is honored before the Woodbridge Township Police Department, peers, community, and family for his dedication to duty and professionalism, and is hereby named Police Officer of the 3rd quarter for 2022. Congratulations. Would you say a few words?
Just thank you, and I mainly want to thank God for providing me with my kids and my granddaughter, and in this job here that helped me support all my kids.
Next up, let's get pictures of Schneider first.
Now, let's do them both, and then we'll get them individually.
All together?
Yeah.
All right.
Officer Schneider, stay up here, please.
That's twice you disobeyed me. Two demerits.
Job.
Now I'd like to call up for a Mayor's Award of Excellence in Public Safety, Woodbridge Township Police Department Officer Jake Fasano. In recognition for his commitment to DWI enforcement. And whereas Officer Jake Fasano, a 7-year veteran, demonstrated a commitment to policing public safety and law enforcement through the aggressive enforcement of New Jersey's DWI statutes, which resulted in Officer Fasano, now listen to this, being recognized as the statewide leader for making the most DWI arrests in the state of New Jersey for 2021, the most in the state. And of course, he's the most in the county, but if you're the most in the state, I think you're kind of automatically the most in the county. And whereas Mothers Against Drunk Driving New Jersey hereby recognize Woodbridge Police Officer Jake Fasano for his dedication and commitment to DWI enforcement and highway traffic safety with the annual New Jersey Law Enforcement Award. So ladies and gentlemen, this is quite an honor. We have been among the leaders in the county, but never have we had the #1 person in the entire state of New Jersey for DWI. 68 arrests were led in 2021. And I asked what took so long, if it's 2021, to realize in December that Jake got the award, but I don't know what the answer was. It takes a while to put it all together and do the research and get things through the court and make sure it's an arrest and make sure it's legit. So it took that long, but it doesn't matter because here we are today honoring Jake for a terrific year enforcing DWI in Woodbridge Township. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the award. Thank you to administration, my fellow members of the traffic unit for their support. Thanks to my family for being here. And it's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. So I see you got both halves of frickin' frack of I don't want to say what I want to say, but you got Phil Augusta and you got Joe Angelo. I should put you on the spot and say which one do you like better? Yeah. We don't like any of them, so it's okay. Let me ask our police director, Bob Hubner, now if he would say a few words about both Officer Schneider and Officer Fasano.
Thanks, Mayor. And as always, thank you for recognizing the hard work our people do. Council for being here to support them. Here you have a younger officer who obviously made the streets of Woodbridge a lot safer because of his actions. And then you have a 27-year vet who still shows the commitment like he did the first day he put the uniform on, still out there doing a great job. Thank you, guys.
So real quick, I think at this point, Bob and I are the only ones who were here when Bill came on the job. And we're recognizing him for the third quarter, but he's been a terrific officer from the day he started. So congratulations. And Jake's concerned, I mean, certainly his achievement is an individual achievement, but it's also a reflection on our traffic enforcement unit, which does a wonderful job, and more importantly, our police department, because this really puts us on the map for DWI enforcement. So congratulations.
And it's said before, but this is, tonight after this is Howie Bauer's last meeting as council president, so this is your last proclamation presentation as council president. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor. Like everybody said before, we thank our police department for everything they do. They put their life on the line every day, and we really appreciate all you do for us. And thank you very much.
My daughter and my granddaughter.
That's a new one.
I know.
Addie! She wants to see what you're doing. Yeah, she wants Daddy. She wants her dad. That's good. Good.
Wait, Chair, get up there. Let me take a picture. Let me take your phone. Take your coat off. Come on back up. Come on. Oh, well, this is you too? Oh, well, just to you two. Okay.
How's that get there?
All right, got it.
If it's okay, can I get one with my unit?
Yeah. That's good. Way to suck up, man. No, that's good, that's good.
Good job. I'll stay for you.
I'm just gonna. That's all right.
Where's your uniform?
You're right, it is good.
Good evening. Please rise for a pledge to our flag. Remain standing for a moment of silence to all military personnel serving here and abroad. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Notice requirements of the open public meeting law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger both published on December 10th, 2021. Copy of the schedule is posted on the municipal bulletin board and should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Spiller. Here. Councilwoman Meehan.
Here.
Councilman Patel. Here. Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Small. Councilwoman McCullough.
Here.
Vice President Ficarra.
Here.
And President Bauer.
Here.
Mr. President, this time I'd like to swear in Councilwoman McCullough. If she would please step up front.
To show your face. Show your face.
Do you, Sharon McCullough, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey? You will bear faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. You will faithfully, impartially, and justly enforce all the laws and perform all the duties of the office of First Ward Councilwoman according to the best of your ability, so help you God.
I do.
Yeah, I think she said she had a couple, just a few words.
Councilwoman McCullough, if you have anything to say.
Yes. I would like to just take this opportunity to thank the constituents of Ward 1 who took the time to come out and vote for me to secure my seat as councilwoman for Woodbridge Township. Thank you to the mayor, the administration, the Democratic Party, fellow councilmates, and all of the residents who put signs on their lawn and supported me at my rallies. And of course, a giant thank you to my family for their love and continued support during this election. I look forward to the next 3 years working with the council, the township, listening to the residents of Woodbridge, acting on current and future issues, and getting results, keeping Woodbridge a destination to live, work, and visit. Thank you all. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from November 22nd, 2022?
Motion.
Second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with second reading ordinances this evening, we will take letter A first, which is an amendment to the bond ordinance 2131 for body-worn cameras. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and a public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter A only.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Sports New Jersey. Just take a quick moment to congratulate the councilwoman on her election.
Thank you.
Being seated tonight. Good luck. With regard to the ordinance, I know for the longest time there was justifiable resistance about putting body cams on our police officers. A fait accompli, it's been mandated by the state. But because it has been mandated by the state, what type of fundings can we expect from the state to help offset these costs?
Well, we bought them up front so we can get the cams because most of the towns in the state were going to buy them. And we got reimbursed by a state grant for the full amount of the cams. themselves.
Almost the full amount.
Almost the full amount.
From my understanding, then why are we bonding? What's the 1.25?
We're not bonding. We passed a bond ordinance to possibly issue bonds to finance it, but we didn't have to issue them because we got the money from the state.
Then why are we passing this?
To repurpose the money for cameras for other areas in the town, not police body cameras, but for other cameras in the town.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on letter A? Letter A only?
Council President, can I just make a comment? I don't remember any resistance to body cameras. I think we were waiting for all the proper infrastructure to get completed before we got involved with it. So I just wanted to note that.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. President. Ken Gardner, 101 Scoter Avenue, Woodbridge. Just a follow-up, and maybe if we could get further explanation. I'm just reading this for the first time on the acquisition of the body cameras, and the mayor's saying that it's going to be put into another area. Is that spelled out in the ordinance?
It's spelled out in the amended ordinance.
Okay. So you're saying this ordinance or the public hearing tonight is just on the amendment to take the money from the body cameras to put other cameras in public places to use for surveillance of activity?
And security, yes.
And security, okay. So none of the money here is going to be for those body cams, just for the other?
Some of it is going, or has gone, toward the unreimbursed portion of what we spent compared to what the state gave us.
Okay. And again, what is the proportion of how much did we receive from the state on the body cams? You're saying not all of the body cams were reimbursed by the state?
700 some odd thousand came in a state grant. We bought the cameras because we didn't want to wait. We knew they were important. We knew we might get state money, but we said let's buy them anyway and wait for the state money. The money came in. Now we're using that piece of the state money for other cameras.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on letter A? Here are no other comments or questions. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion.
Second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter B is an ordinance amending Chapter 7. This is to add handicap parking on Vassar Place in Avenel. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter B only. Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter C is an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of 111 New Street in Woodbridge. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter C only.
Hello, Mr. President. Ken Gardner, 101 Scoter Avenue, Woodbridge. On this and the other ordinances that may come up similar to it, I see D has got somewhat of a similar purpose. But first on C, it gives the town the right of eminent domain. This property, is it a residential property?
Yes.
Is someone living there currently?
No. The ordinance just says eminent domain because that's the textbook language that we have to use. It usually does not mean that we're going to use eminent domain. It's been that way for many, many years that has to be in the ordinance. This is a piece of property on New Street. It's the next property on our parking lot. So by buying this, we'll be able to expand the parking lot to help shoppers and diners downtown. The lot was put up for sale by the owner, and we bid on it and purchased it.
Okay, and again, the sole purpose is to expand the parking lot, not to build.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments on letter C? Hearing no other comments, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're going to take letters D and E by consent. These are ordinances to adopt. The first is the Smith Street, Newton Street redevelopment plan, and the second is one for the Woodbridge Bowling Center redevelopment plan. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be taken up on second and third reading for both these ordinances?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letters D and E and only. Yes.
Ken Gardner, 101 Scoto Avenue. First, since they're both public hearings, the public should be entitled to 5 minutes on each of the ordinances. On the first ordinance, can you tell me what part of town this is?
That's Caseby.
That's Caseby, okay. And what are the plans for this property? I mean, a lot of these seem similar to in the past where, you know, it starts off as an ordinance or an authorization to the planning board or the redevelopment committee to review. And then at the end of the day, we're giving a 30-year tax abatement to somebody.
This is going to be a new District 4 Caseby Firehouse.
Okay, so this is to replace the existing firehouse that is there now.
Yes.
Okay. Have there been discussions between the fire department and neighboring Ford's Fire Department or Hope On Fire Department? I know you have a dual response.
Regarding what with the other districts?
Well, you're building a new building there, so, and taking up, which is going to cost an awful lot of money, so I'm just asking have there been discussions between the departments? You have a dual response there, if I'm correct with?
Caseby, it has dual response with Hope On. The only time we responded to, because I'm a District 7 firefighter volunteer, District 7 only responds to the Caseby or Fords on mutual aid if they need assist.
Okay. And your firehouse is just really a few miles down the road from where that is. That's why I'm just asking if there's any other discussion. So the sole purpose for the redevelopment of the property, who is the current owner of the property?
This is a residential and one commercial building on that property?
The commercial building, I believe, was purchased, and I believe, or at least the plan was to buy half of the residential building. And the developer is building the Caseby Firehouse. This will not cost the taxpayers any money. The redeveloper of the site on Smith Street, where the current firehouse is building the firehouse for the fire department, and then he will simply trade that firehouse for the old firehouse where the development is going. So there is no cost to the taxpayers of anything regarding this project at all.
That sounds very similar to what happened on Rawway Avenue in Avenel, where we were talking about building a school, but in recent meetings I heard that we're not doing that. But again,
It pertains only to Caseby?
Yeah, I understand, but it's a similar concept that we went through, and in the public meeting, the mayor had said, I believe, that the school district didn't take, even though they spent $2.5 million on work and then walked away from the project.
What is in front of you is the Caseby project, not the school or Rawway Avenue.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair comparison, Councilman, to what
Actually, it's
happened.
not even close.
Okay, so is this a payment in lieu of taxes that this developer is going to build the firehouse?
No.
He's just decided he wants to build a firehouse for us.
As I said, he wants the current firehouse for his development, so he's building a new one and he's going to trade.
Okay. And that's not similar to what we were doing in Avenel,
No.
where the school district didn't take ownership of the property?
This is not the subject of this ordinance.
Yes, I understand, Mayor, but when the council is voting on these things and we have, recent experiences...
I said it's not similar. It's not even close. I said that.
I mean, I disagree, but I appreciate you taking the time to clarify for it. So what is the cost of the new firehouse?
We don't know.
So we're trading a piece of property, giving up a piece of property from to build a new building, but we don't
We are
know
not
what
doing
it costs?
anything. The Casby Fire Department is making the trade. We are not doing anything.
This is not a meeting of the Casby Board of Fire Commissioners. This is a town council meeting, and the council is voting on this, Mayor.
But not the financial transaction. They're voting on the plan, not the financial transaction.
Well, again, these things kind of start off with, oh, we're just doing this one little thing, and then they turn into 5 other steps.
This is not one little
You know-
thing. I explained exactly how this is working
Mr.
3
Gardner,
times.
We've been in contact with District 4, and they're on board with the plan, so it's not like they're blindsided. They know about this.
Yeah, I'm not saying,
no.
I'm not saying there aren't. I'm happy that, there's going to be,
I think they're happy because they're buying a bigger truck so they can fit in their new building to provide, service protection to, the 4th Fire District. And they're getting a brand-new firehouse.
okay? I'm just, if property is going to be traded, I think,
I think they're getting the better of the bargain.
well, you think that, but, was there an appraisal? The mayor just said he doesn't know the cost involved.
We're not involved in the financial transaction. I explained that. It's between the Casby Fire Department and the developer of the Smith Street project. It's all between them. They're not complaining. They're thrilled that they're getting a brand spanking new firehouse and trading a 30-year-old firehouse. They're getting a bigger entity, more land, and a better deal, and they're not complaining. But you are.
I'm not complaining, Mayor. I'm asking questions, and
And I've answered them now 4 times.
I've, as I said before, the school district, we're told, was very much in favor of it. It was a great thing, and it ended up costing $2.5 million.
It did not. It did not. Save that for the public session. I'll take you on then.
Okay. And on the ordinance E, can we have a explanation of that?
It'll be non-residential use and whatever permitted in the use under redevelopment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. President. I didn't.
You hear me? It's non-residential.
Right, so
Whatever
it's
is permitted in the use for the redevelopment plan.
where the bowling alley is, so you're changing it to make it so you could build homes there or
No,
apartments? or-
non-residential, I said.
You're making it a non-residential. Okay. So what is the purpose of the redevelopment plan? It's currently zoned, what?
There's a whole host of different possibilities. The owner is in negotiations with a company, and it's not public yet, and they don't want us to reveal yet because it's in negotiation. We don't want to do anything to mess that up by indicating what it might be. He's got multiple suitors for the site, so when he decides to make it public what he wants to do, we'll make it public. But until then, we have to respect the fact that he wants to keep it quiet, and there's nothing we're doing to approve a use now. We're just approving a plan for possible uses.
Okay. So, and I'm sorry if you said this already, Mr. President, or the mayor said it, but we're doing a redevelopment for what is the bowling alley property now. You're saying it would be for business use, but tell me what that means, redevelopment. Does it mean we're changing the zone? Does it mean we're making it eligible for tax abatement? Does it mean, what does it mean that we say we're doing, it's a nice word that we're doing redevelopment plan, but what does that actually mean for this project?
It means he's trying to get a different use, and we're making it a redevelopment plan to facilitate that process.
Okay? So if there's another use, are we changing the use in this ordinance?
No.
So they would then need to go to the zoning board or the planning board to get a change of use for the property
Yes, if they need one, yes.
after this? So, Mayor, or someone, if you could explain to me, what is this, again, what is it we're doing? By we're saying it's a redevelopment plan, what are we actually saying here?
That the property will be redeveloped according to what the plan is ultimately adopted, and if it has to get zoning or planning board approval, it will.
Okay. And why do we need to take this first step and approve it as a redevelopment first? I mean, what is happening in this step? I mean, if they want to change, if somebody wants to buy the property and change it to R4 or a different zone, they could simply go to the zoning board and do that. They wouldn't need to come and get the permission of the town for a redevelopment plan. So tell me, what does the redevelopment plan allow them to do that they would not be able to do if this ordinance was not adopted?
Want to try that?
So, what's in front of council as part of the plan is exactly what the mayor said. It's the zoning. And there's lots of reasons why people want to be designated as a redevelopment area and have a redevelopment plan adopted to facilitate their construction and their project, not least of which there are many state funds and not only funds, but also facilities and programs that are available to facilitate development if you are a designated redevelopment area and if you have a plan adopted for the area. The designation is only the first step. You need the plan to actually facilitate the redevelopment. And if you ask me, which you did, I would say that's mostly the reason why people do that.
Thank you.
Developers take on those types of projects to facilitate that kind of activity.
I appreciate your explanation very much. It's very helpful. Thank you. So within the redevelopment area that we're constructing here, they would have greater opportunities available to them in changing the zone, or
The plan is the zone.
just that it is a redevelopment zone, not a zone specific to an R5 or a multifamily or...
The redevelopment plan acts as the zone. It's on the map the way any other zone is. So essentially, it's the same thing. The reason you designate something as an area and you adopt a plan is what I previously explained to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments under letters D or E?
Good evening, everybody. John Vitale, Woodbridge. On the letter D, and case is the Smith Street. When you talk about a development, I believe it's 45 and 47 Smith Street. Probably a year ago or so, somebody was kind of pressed to sell the property because the developer is building a warehouse there, isn't he?
He's building a warehouse on Smith Street, off Smith Street.
That's what he's going to have to build a new warehouse. That's what's going to be a new firehouse, right?
No.
No.
There's, Smith Street has a funny turn to it. So Smith Street, where the new firehouse is going to be, is basically underneath the bridge
Right,
over the Rat River.
right.
The old firehouse is up off the, I guess, the extension of Smith Street. That's where the warehouse project is. So there are two different plots of land.
And I believe the mayor just said that, I'm not too familiar with the firehouse, but the mayor said that the existing firehouse is that 30 years old. I believe one in Woodbridge and School Street is probably almost twice as old. But again, I think just for the benefit of this developer, it's not for developer of KSB or what you call the local people, it's for him and them. Why are we making all this kind of I would say giving in to developer if they don't pay the share of property tax?
The developer is spending a lot of money to build a brand-new firehouse for the Casby Fire Department and the residents of Casby, and replacing an old firehouse. I said 30, it could be 40, I don't know how old it is, but it's quite old, and it's about to be brand new. So he's digging into his pocket and spending millions of dollars to buy the land and build the firehouse, and then give it to the Casby Firehouse in exchange for their very old firehouse. You think that's a bad deal for the residents of Casby?
Well, he's doing it for his own benefit because he probably needs the firehouse.
Of course.
For his benefit, not you and I over here.
It benefits the people of Woodbridge Township, particularly in the Casby section of town. I don't live there, you don't live there, but a lot of people live there.
Well, not so far.
And they're getting a brand-new firehouse.
I understand most of the board house over there. I want to go back to letter E on Woodbridge Bowling Alley. And I guess we all know the owner of Bowling Alley. And there was a lot of talk about be taken over from eminent domain or something to build something out it wasn't interested in. And of course, on that piece of property, it's got a huge Wi-Fi antenna on there, as we know it, right? And again, in my own situation, I own a lot of properties, but on one situation in Hardin County, I'm aware of it. If you have a stream on your property, such as
Are you on the ordinance regarding E, the property?
I'm going to letter E now.
Yeah, so we need to, yeah, so you're going outside the parameters. We're talking about E, piece of property, for redevelopment, which is on Main Street, the Woodbridge Bowling Center.
Right. How much more they can do with the property? Because if you look at it, it's not a huge piece of property. On two sides, you got highways. On the other 45%, you got a creek. What else that could be done there? They could do to approve, because you're going to have to involve the county, the state.
We know everything you're saying. It needs county, it needs state, it needs approvals from different entities. That's all normal. What can go on there are 1,000 different options. If a bowling alley can fit there with a parking lot, a whole lot of other things can fit there with a parking lot. And the developer or the owner will have to abide by all of those rules and build what they get approved by the town, like all the time.
Now, in that situation, a letter E, is that owner of the property requesting to do this for his...
Mr. Vitale, do you understand that bowling alley will be demolished and taken away?
No, I don't say that. I don't say
just
that.
saying, though,
My
you're
idea
asking
is what
about
else could be
you know,
there, but I'm talking about is the owner of the bowling alley, that owns the property. Is he requesting for you to do what you're doing now?
Of course he is.
He's asking you.
He's a longtime businessman in the town, he's highly respected, he wants to sell his bowling alley. If we can help him do that, we will, and we'll try to make sure what goes there makes sense for the residents of Woodbridge Township, like we always do.
Okay.
This is nothing new.
So he wants to sell a bowling alley?
For the third time, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Sports, New Jersey. I'll try not to drone on. There's a lot of questions and answers, so I'll try to keep mine as brief as I can. Just by past experience, I'll take all three letters, but then I'll go back into one or two of them individually. At this point in time, Mr. Gardner brought up, this is presented to the council. At what point in time will this ever come back to the council to be voted on again? In other words, once you go through the process, it'll go through, it'll happen, we'll decide what they're going to develop. Obviously, in point D, we have no, it's going to be a warehouse, and it's going to be a new fire station. And by the way, when I'm talking about the fire station, I know government doesn't worry about profit and loss, but I can tell you contractors do. So if that contractor is willing to put up several $1 million to build a new firehouse, there's more than just that going into that as far as his profit and loss is concerned. Obviously, a lot more. And I'm sure he's going to be tax abated, so another give back. But again, what is that process? At what point can the public come back and ask what's going on with this? Because I've been to the zoning meetings, and particularly the planning board. Mr. Markov would get up there and say, well, that boat's all sailed a long time ago because you should have been at the earlier meetings when it was going through redevelopment. So once redevelopment signifies that it's going to be changed and can be built on, it's pretty much a fait accompli. And it's out of the public's hand, unless it comes back to the council. Is that not correct?
Director Darden?
Yeah, so, no, actually, it's not correct. The way that development is handled throughout the state is by the zoning and the planning board. And because we adopt a redevelopment plan that is the zoning, that goes on the zoning map like every other zone in the town, every application that needs approval goes to the planning board or the zoning board, and nothing changes about that here. This doesn't change that.
Once it's conforming, though, it's a fait accompli. Because I've been in enough of the planning board meetings to say, we can't stop it, it's already been approved by redevelopment, it is now conforming. And the residents go away finding out that they showed up for a meeting and had their voices heard, and that's about the extent of it. That's why I'm asking, at any point in time, will this council review this and give the public a chance to comment on whatever they plan on developing? And that's an answer for, actually, a question for the council, not the administration.
The council doesn't typically get the ability to vote on the development projects in town, no.
That's the answer I was looking for, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments under D or E?
Buddy, Scott Gorridge, Woodbridge proper. I'm not really familiar with this ordinance. You know, I try to come prepared to speak about anything, but I've got questions just hearing about this. And the only question I guess I have is what is the developer going to do with the old firehouse? What are they going to do with that? What will be built, and will there eventually be a pilot assigned to that?
As I explained several times, the firehouses will be traded for each other. The developer will own the land on the current firehouse, will demolish that as part of his development. He will then give the firehouse that he's building to the fire company. There's no taxes paid by the firehouse, so that's the answer to that question.
That's not what I'm asking. So if you listen to the question I'm asking, instead of this confrontational, passive-aggressive, as I've explained, okay, what's he doing with the old one? Developers don't
I
do
just
things
said
for
it's
nothing.
part of his development. He's developing
What
a
is he
warehouse.
developing?
A warehouse. We said that 2 questions ago.
That part I didn't hear. That's what I'm clarifying
Okay.
and asking.
It's going to be a
Is there
warehouse.
going to be a pilot on the warehouse?
Very likely, yes.
Okay. As you know, I have no problem with that. I'm not complaining about that. I'm asking to clarify. Let's calm down the confrontational responses here, guys. I'm very rational and calm and asking clear questions here. And I will be back up here, so let's bring it down a notch. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions under D or E? Here are no other questions or comments. Going to get a motion that the public hearing be closed. The ordinance is to be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Motion.
I have a second on the motion.
Second. Second.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. President, I have 96 resolutions listed. I just thank Mr. Patel for pointing out there's just a spelling error in number 26. That'll be corrected. Thank you. If I can get a motion to approve 1 through 96.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? So noted. Any other comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. This time we'll go to the public comment portion of this meeting. When approaching the microphone, please state your name and what section of the township or state that you live in. You'll have a one-time opportunity to speak on a 5-minute time period. All video taking must be taken from the rear of the room to the designated area. There'll be no shouting out from your seats. Please be respectful to each other. Please make sure there are no signs or posters in aisleways or walkways. Thank you.
It's me again. Hi. Scott Gorridge, Woodbridge proper. So I like I said, I try to be prepared when I come out here. I'm not sure exactly what I asked. I read recently that the state's going to pass some significant increases to municipal health care or state, all the health care costs for public workers, and all the articles are talking to that translating directly down to property taxpayers at some point. Do we have, or will we have, or can we eventually get what we think the impact will be on the rateable taxpayer? Like, for example, when the school puts out the budget, they show they're going to increase this much, and every $1,000 of assessment, we expect each property tax owner to pay X. And this sounds like a pretty big deal for a lot of townships, especially, and this will dovetail into future discussions about what we've all been talking about regarding pilots of residential buildings, because I'm assuming these increases will only affect the rateable taxpayer. So are we getting any information on the state on just what kind of, I mean, I'm hearing 25% increase for healthcare costs for public workers. Do we have a sense for how this is going to affect Woodbridge Township and then down to the taxpayer level per X amount of assessments, or will we eventually get that kind of information? Because it sounds pretty dramatic.
Council President, we are not in the state health benefits plan, as are more than half of the states and boards of eds in the state. We're self-insured on our own. The changes to the state health benefits plan will have exactly a 0 impact on the taxpayers of Woodbridge Township. We've been in, I'm back to 1992 when I was CFO, when we were in the state health benefits plan, and we had constant efforts by different entities to get us to join and leave our private insurance. We rejected those that whole time, and even when I was in Trenton, that plan reported to me, and I didn't even like it. I wanted to abolish it. because I didn't think the state had any business being in a state health health benefits plan, but they didn't. And for the last 16 years, we've been still self-insured. So we're very lucky that we made those decisions over the past 30-plus years to be on our own, to control our own destiny. We can offer what we want in benefits. We don't have to follow what the state says. If we want to cover a torn fingernail and the state plan doesn't cover a torn fingernail, we can cover it. So that's a lot of good things about being on our own and able to control our own destiny. And as a result, while neighbors all around us are looking at a 25% increase and a heck of an impact on their budget, our impact is exactly zero.
Well, I will definitely, I recognize what recognition's due, and that is obviously, we don't often hear good news, and I'm going to thank, if that's you, John, Mr. McCormick, if that's the previous councils for making those decisions, then I thank you for that. And I guess a fair question to ask that is how do our rates compare then to a state? It's fair to say, like, we do it on our own, but we don't get favorable group rates, or are we comparable, are we better, are the rates better? That's just an extraneous question, I'm just curious.
Our rate, we don't have rates because we're self-insured, so you have to look at our history, and our history recently has been incredibly good for some reason. In the past, there's been years that it's not as good, but we pay an administrative fee to a company to run the plan, but we don't pay a premium, so I can't compare our premium to what the state health benefits is, but I can compare every year, and for the last 2 to 3 years, we're doing better than we would had we been in a premium plan, whether it's the state or somebody else, doing much, much better than that. And I wish I could say why, but our claims are just down, and that's great.
Don't question a good thing. Then don't do that. And I appreciate some of you folks who have, I know I've sent quite a lot of information. I'm still waiting to hear from some of you guys. But I'll follow up with each individually. And Howie, thank you for some of the candor and your back and forth, and Councilwoman Meehan and Sharon for the response over some of the things. So we'll reconvene sometime January, but I appreciate the time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any other comments tonight from the public?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ken Gardner, 101 Scoter Avenue, Woodbridge. I'm happy that the mayor brought up 1992 and gives me an opportunity. Last year I had said things backwards, I guess, would be the right to say. So in 1992, the mayor was part of the administration. At that time, I was the town council president. And the administration proposed that we change from being self-insured and become part of the state health benefits program. As council president, I led the effort to hire a consultant to review this, and we proved that the change at the time to the state health benefits program from where we were and what the town administration that the mayor was a part of was proposing was we would save $1 million per year. So while the mayor was here in 1992, he was on the wrong side of the issue, which saved us $1 million back then and is now saving us much more, as was pointed out tonight. The second subject is the mayor said he wanted to debate me on the Broadway Avenue project. Unfortunately, I didn't bring with me tonight, but I have at home one of our township magazines that come out. You know what it is, the green and white cover. And I believe it's the mayor, maybe Ms. Darden. I'm not sure if Sterling was in the picture at the time, but they were talking about how this property in Avenel on Broadway Avenue was going to make something like $87 million, I think was what the article was, a flip for $87 million. And so we heard over recent years that the school was going, the school 4 and 5 was going to go there. And we've learned more about it as it went on. But as the property was being developed or investigated, they were finding that there were environmental problems with the property, but I believe the administration was still suggesting that it be cleaned up and moved forward until we had these significant problems in Colonia, which I think shed a little bit of a different light on what possibilities could occur. And from what I've heard, and I'm happy to admit I'm wrong if I heard it wrong, but I thought the school district had spent, I read in the newspaper, I guess, the school district had spent $2.5 million in an effort to start to work on this project for the school 4 and 5 to be there, which is now lost because the school is not going to be there. So that's a loss of $2.5 million. If I'm not understanding that correctly, Mayor, can you please explain?
So the warehouse project was funding the $87 million bond referendum from March 10th of 2020, which passed overwhelmingly. Included in that was $35 million for School 4 and 5 to move from the current location in Avenel Street to Rahway Avenue, and to be built there on that 6 acres that was part of the bid by the redeveloper of the site where the Woodbridge Developmental Center was. So the school's plan was the district's plan was to put a new school there. They did spend money on the school project. If I must have misunderstood, they spent nothing on the cleanup. Everybody keeps saying that the school district spent money on the cleanup. They did not spend a dime on the cleanup, so if I confused that, I'm sorry. They did spend money on architects and engineers to get the site ready for the construction. The cleanup was not of such a nature that would have prevented a school to go there, despite popular belief. The cleanup was more than expected, but still manageable. And in fact, the district was on its way to getting approval from the Department of Education and the Department of Environmental Protection to, in fact, build a school on that site. What curtailed or what stopped the project was not that issue. The issue was that when the referendum was passed, 2 days later, COVID hit. So for 18 plus months, nothing happened on the site. And by the time everybody got back to the drawing board, they realized that due to inflation, due to the pandemic, and due to supply chain issues, the $35 million cost of that project was growing to at least $45 million, if not 50, and by the time it was actually built, who knows, 55 plus. So they made the decision to cancel the project and to reallocate the remaining, if you say it's 2.5, it could be, the remaining 32.5 then is being reallocated to the expansion of the current site for School 4 and 5. School 5 is in good shape. They're going to renovate that, much like Woodbridge Middle School was completely renovated. It looks like a brand new school inside. And then School 4, they're going to build a new building next to it, just like they did in North Street. And then I think ultimately tear down School 4 if that's what they decide. They're not firm on that yet, but that is the general plan, to spend the remainder of that $35 million on the existing site. So the environmental issue, it had nothing to do with Colonia High School. The decision had nothing to do with the environmental issue. This decision had to do with the Board of Ed not being willing to go back to the taxpayers after asking for $87 million to ask for $15 or $20 or $25 million more to do that project. We supported the decision. It's their call. They're going to wind up with a great School 4 and 5 no matter what happens. So that is the history of what happened with School 4 and 5.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate the fact that you said that maybe you didn't say it correctly, or you said you're sorry for if you said it the wrong way. And that is, it's great that we have debate here. That's the purpose of the public meeting. I'm happy that the gentleman said take the edge off it, and we can disagree and debate subjects, which is what the public meeting and democracy is all about. So, Mayor, started off by saying I had said things backwards in '92, although the decision we did make saved us $1 million a year, much more now. And you said you had made a mistake now, so that's what it's all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other comments this evening from the public? Here are no other comment.
Good evening, James Dabrowski, Perth Amboy Area Branch, NAACP. On November 26th, a truck displaying anti-Muslim imagery targeted Woodbridge's one and only mosque, the Muslim community of New Jersey Masjid, located in the Ford section of our township. The truck parked in front of the mosque during peak hours as the truck's digital screen circulated anti-Muslim photos and videos for several minutes. 3 other mosques here in Middlesex County were also targeted on the same day by this same vehicle. The attack comes as there's an uptick in anti-Muslim incidents in New Jersey. The New Jersey chapter of the Center for American Islamic Relations, or CARE-NJ, reports that there's been 150 incidents this year alone, 40 more than last year. Attempts to intimidate and harass people, especially at their own houses of worship, crosses a red line that can't be accepted or tolerated by anyone, stated CARE-NJ Director Saladin Maksud. It is important our elected officials condemn Islamophobia and all forms of hate, he added. Elected officials, including Governor Phil Murphy, Senator Bob Menendez, and Attorney General Matt Platkin, have stepped up and condemned the attack, with Governor Murphy calling it a horrible act of bigotry. Council President, does the McCormick administration condemn this horrible act of bigotry against our Muslim community members?
I can't talk for anybody else, but I'll talk for myself. There's over 8 here in Woodbridge.
Do you condemn the Islam?
This is the first time hearing about this.
Wow.
I thank you for bringing it to our attention. This is my first. I live right there. I live within 2 blocks of the mosque. We have a great relationship with the mosque. Our fire department does. They invite us to their events. So like I said, this is the first time that I'm hearing about this actions. And like I said, there's no room for hate here in Woodbridge. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm speaking for myself.
Okay, do you condemn this specific attack?
I condemn any kind that brings out hatred in this world. Yes, I do.
Okay, do you condemn the Proud Boys coming here too?
Right, like I said before, everybody has their right. Freedom of speech.
Okay.
You're right. Listen, I don't condemn the Proud Boys. It's like you have the right to get up there and speak your mind. And that's
Okay.
your Second Amendment right.
First, but okay.
First Amendment, sorry.
I'm not packing heat. Okay, the Perth Amboy Area Branch NAACP condemns the recent anti-Muslim attack on the Muslim community of New Jersey, Masjid and Fords. We call on Woodbridge elected and appointed officials to join us in condemning Islamophobia in our community. And as mentioned at our last council meeting, for years now, a pro-slavery Confederate troop has been marching in various parades here in Woodbridge Township. We wouldn't have a Nazi troop marching as a World War II history group, and we shouldn't have a Confederate troop marching as a Civil War history group. White supremacy must never be honored and must be condemned in all of its forms, period. This issue was first brought to this administration's attention 1 year ago at our December 14th, 2021 council meeting, where Proud Boys showed up and made disgustingly bigoted comments, and where this administration inexcusably refused to denounce the terrorist hate group. 1 year later, the Confederate 7th Virginia Cavalry Company A continues to march in Woodbridge parades, with no assurance from this administration that this unacceptable occurrence will stop. Council President, at our last meeting 3 weeks ago, you responded, "We have no comment at this time." Please, it's our last meeting of the year and the holiday season. Will this administration, for once, model our school district's anti-racism pledge by standing against racism wherever it appears and working towards eliminating racism within our schools and community? Will this administration promise to stop including a white supremacist Confederate troop in our community's parades?
Yeah. You want to comment? Comments?
Mayor McCormick? It's funny, he talks to everybody else but me. Okay. The Perth Amboy Area Branch NAACP condemns the inclusion of a pro-slavery Confederate group in Woodbridge Township parades. We call on Woodbridge elected and appointed officials to join us in condemning white supremacy in all of its forms. Additionally, the Blue Lives Matter line that was painted down Main Street, this administration said it was for Police Week back in May, is still there almost 8 months later, but the rainbow crosswalk that was painted for Pride Month in June has been removed. After reviewing videos of the Confederate troop marching in our parades, I noticed that the blue line was never seen on Main Street until the 2018 Veterans Day Parade in November of 2018, just 2 months after Nike partnered with racial justice activist Colin Kaepernick. This historic deal, of course, triggered massive white supremacist backlash, including an uptick in anti-black, Blue Lives Matter flags and lines being painted in racist communities all over the country. If Woodbridge is ever going to commit to anti-racism, the divisive Blue Lives Matter line has got to go. Will this administration commit to anti-racism by removing the racist blue line from our street, just as Flemington, New Jersey had the controversial blue line removed from its Main Street? Council President.
I think over the few years, we did change the color for other organizations.
But it's been there for 8 months.
Can't tell you why.
Is it going to be changed?
Can't tell you.
Can anybody? Well, a mayor who says Black Lives Matter is awful, we kind of know why that is, why it hasn't been changed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Justice for Nigeria Parks, justice for Jeremiah Daniels Porter, Black Lives Matter.
Thank you.
Any other comments this evening from the public?
You know, Council President, I thought it was very interesting that you stated, there's no room for hatred in Woodbridge, but in fact, the Elks Lodge allowed white supremacy gear and allowed Confederate flags to be sold and Confederate gears to be sold on their property and tried to retaliate. Did not try, but did retaliate and try to pursue people from refraining from, exercising their rights to not only condemn it, but to seek to dismantle it, specifically black people, right? But you're stating that hatred is not allowed in Woodbridge. We're sitting in the same room, in fact, that we've allowed white supremacists to be in. And in fact, there might be some tonight, but we've allowed members of the Proud Boys to march right through those same doors right there. Come in. Is that hatred to you, Council President?
I gave you my answer before. Thank you.
But it's members of the Proud Boys organization, a hatred organization to you. Do you consider that?
No comment.
No comment. Mr. Mayor, do you consider that? No comment. Mr. Mayor, are you a member of the Proud Boys? I guess that was a nerve. You see, so I ask those questions because when we don't publicly condemn organizations like the Proud Boys that not only dehumanize black people for their existence and not only actually ignores, right? And say things like calling us the N-word or send the blacks back, stuff like that. Like it's 3 people that said that to me outside that's in this room today. Oh, you just come here and whine, whine, whine. You make stuff up at this moment. Just like we make up our oppression and all the hell that have been inflicted upon us in this country. But the faces you're making right now, wow. And you're talking about how council meetings are supposed to be a debate. Damn, we cannot even get an answer from you. So if that's not white privilege or white supremacy in action where you choose to select who you should answer to or not, then what do you call that? Because this right here is pain that we're speaking from. Things that black people go through day in and day out, but you are not personally directed by it, so you don't care about it. You don't care about it. Your privilege protects you. Your white skin protects you. You don't care. Yeah, I see how you're looking at me. I love it. We're speaking truth to power here, and we're going to keep doing it. Because you don't live in the shoes of black people, specifically black women and men. So you will never understand. Last question. Since hatred, as the council president has stated, is, not allowed in Woodbridge, if the Proud Boys should show up in this room again tomorrow, since you answered that question already, Council President, what would the council do? Would you allow them to come in and again say anti-black statements like they did before, or what?
You have the right to come like you to a meeting. It's your first amendment right.
Nice. You all need to resign. You have no room in office and should not be in it whatsoever. There's no room for a mayor who do not condemn anti-black statements and condemn white supremacy in action to still be occupying a mayor's seat in the city or any members of the council. Because if you do not speak up for those who can't speak for themselves or lead and love or believe in liberation for those that are mostly oppressed, you are being accomplices
to white supremacy in action. You are aiding and abiding to that same white supremacy. Or maybe you are just white supremacists because you believe they have that type of right to come here and say this. Just like you believe during George Floyd, no, I don't yield back. I don't yield back. Abolish white supremacy. Abolish white supremacy.
5 minutes up.
Yeah, you rather would have me removed from a room instead of actually dismantling and abolishing white supremacy. That's distasteful. Nasty. But you allow an entire group of white men exchange dialogue with you, and I can't even get an answer from you.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Paul Lund, Hope Lawn. Department of Education, State of New Jersey, had a closed-door session, and apparently information leaked out where their intention, as far as the school districts of New Jersey, is that when sex ed is being taught, rather than separating by biological sex, boys and girls, that boys who identify as girls will sit in on classes that include about topics including menstruation, and girls who identify as boys will sit in on topics that include nocturnal emissions. This is truth. This is actually coming from the State Department of Education. Cambridge Oxford Dictionary just came out with a new definition of man and woman. It's based on how they identify rather than the sex they were quote unquote assigned at birth. So there's a lot of criticism around that. I've always been of the assumption that in Woodbridge, you know, that the Democrats tended to be on the moderate side. It seems to me that today's Democrat Party has been hijacked by what you've heard the term woke, leftist, Marxists, and we would think that Woodbridge, both the town council, the mayor, the Board of Ed, would be a buffer to some of the most extreme notions that are coming down the pike. So maybe in San Francisco it may work one way, but in Woodbridge we have different expectations, at least the parents that I've been in regular touch with. All these DEI, which is CRT, critical race theory, a lighter version, which is basically telling these kids that if you're white, you're privileged, you're part of a system that was founded by white people for the benefit of white people. They're being shamed in school. We're getting reports back from students who are making comments that are being construed as racist. And if they're construed as racist, then indeed the administration is considering them racist remarks. Just like the gentleman before me can see in your expressions how racist you are. The fact that you don't respond, you don't dignify his accusations against you, having no knowledge of who you are as people, he's making these blanket statements. That same mentality and ideology is happening in our schools. Parents are going to stand for it. You guys are on the wrong side. If you're a Democrat today and you buy all that crap and you're going to force it down people's throats without being a buffer to it, shame on you. I gave you all a copy of the state comprehensive health and physical ed standards that are being rolled out, where all this, we'll call it radical sexualization of our kids is being rolled out, where they want kids who identify a certain gender to have freedom of the facilities to use either boys' room or girls' room, where parents don't even have to be informed if the child decides that they're going to be the other gender and dress differently, have new pronouns. They don't have any affirmative duty to report to parents anymore. This is outrageous, and it's going to come back. It's going to come back on you guys. And that's why I gave you those standards. I hope you read them. I hope you take them to heart. And I hope you take an opportunity to speak on these because you are elected officials. Where you stand on these issues do matter. They should matter to the voters, at least, of Woodbridge Township. They matter to me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Any other comments from the public this evening?
Good evening, Tom Maris. I'd just like to, perhaps surprisingly, thank the mayor and the administration and the town council for standing strong and not allowing somebody to race bait you, because that's all it is. Pure gobbledygook rhetoric, and it's a load of crap. This is a mixed organization right in front of me. We have representatives from every part of the community here. There's no racism. The only racism they have is what they're trying to drum up and force it down our throats, and we know better. This town is not racist, and that's partly because of the people that are sitting at that dais and the administration, so I commend you on that, and let them just rant and rave because they mean nothing. And obviously, they don't give a damn about the First Amendment and anybody else's right to speak, because you're not speaking their language. Obviously, you shouldn't be allowed to speak at all, and that's not what that flag stands for. And you know it, and you practice it, and you're making sure that everybody that comes before you has the right to speak. That said, I want to go back to something about the school and the bonding. Is there a legal opinion on whether the school board can use that money, since it's now not being used to go ahead and build the new school, being used in a manner that was not approved by the voters? Where do we stand on that? I know the school board had it under discussion, but I don't know if the town, and it should be, is involved in it as well, since you took the lead in trying to get that bond, or did get that bond through, and now the public has the burden of that debt.
President, I can answer that if you'd like. There's no doubt they can use the money. The question is whether they need another referendum to do it. Right. That's what's being discussed now. We actually have it scheduled. It's not scheduled yet, but they're working in Trenton with the Department of Education attorneys, the school board's attorney, the school board's bond counsel, and we're just involved because, you know, we're providing the money to pay off the debt, so we're paying attention to it. But the question is, do you need another referendum? And if they do, they'll go out for another one. But we're hoping that they don't have to do that, because all they're doing is changing, not even to a brand new site, but to the existing site. So there's some legal thoughts that they don't need it. There's some that think they do. The state will decide, and we'll react accordingly.
If in fact it has to go back out for a referendum, why not include then and give the voters a chance to say, yes, we'd rather go ahead with the new school, even at the accelerated cost, going up to $35, $45 million, or going into one as a 100-year-old school. And trust me, that's a Pandora's box when you open it up, and doing the old schools. Why not give the public a choice if it comes down to a referendum?
Well, referendums don't give you choice. They ask you to vote yes or no on a certain issue, but you have to bring that up with the school board.
Why not make it that way?
It's entirely up to them.
Well, can't we get it before the council, or when it becomes
It doesn't have to go
matter
before
of
the
a referendum?
None of that has to go before the council. It's only the school board that decides that.
Okay. Well, when they do, let's see if they'll do it that way. And maybe we get the public to get involved and see if we can't make it a referendum where we do have a choice on that. Because I'd much rather see a new school going in once the soil is remunerated. The other thing I wanted to bring up too, I went back and was looking at some salaries, and this was October 26th of this year. And I noticed, I'm roughly using 10 years as a guideline, and I'll try to be very brief. In that time, the town council salary is initially doubled. They went from around 7,500, now everybody's over 15,000. Mr. Coughlin and Mr. Nolan are about 18,360. But the real kickers is, I think, Mr. McCormick, you started around 85,000, you're now at 195,000, almost 196. And Carolyn Ehrlich, who started at 25,000, is now the highest paid employee that I'm aware of at $212,000. That is extreme. A lot of those salaries are doubled. In her case, it's 8 times what her initial start was. How do you justify that kind of raises to yourselves, particularly since the town council at one time used to meet weekly, and there was a lot more public exchange because it was split, and we could then talk much longer, and these missions, I will admit, sometimes went on for many hours, but that's what it was all about. That was done away with, and now we meet every 2 weeks, and everything's combined, and we don't even get a chance to talk about what you'll be talking about next, and that is your agendas. We used to be able to do that. No longer can we do that. So I'd just like to know, do you really feel comfortable giving yourselves double running or even 8 times? And how does that serve the public?
Mayor?
Well, in my case, probably I got the biggest raise after we made $50 million buying and selling land, and that went right to the bottom line for the taxpayers of Woodbridge and paid off $50 million of debt. So perhaps that had something to do with the raise I got. You have the wrong numbers on Miss Ehrlich. She didn't start at $25,000. She started way higher than that. She's got a salary as chief of staff and another salary as the redevelopment agency director. And as to the town council, I think they're underpaid, and I think they should have gotten higher raises based on the work they do at the events they go to. It's not, the town council meetings are a very small piece of what they do. They are out and about all over the town for any number of events, and all you got to do is look at our council, your schedule in the month of December, and you'll see that there's an hour and a half twice for council meetings, and the rest of it probably 30 hours for events, for parades, and different meetings, and different school events, and library events, and you name it. So if whatever they make, I think is, I know what they make, and they're underpaid. And I think they should make more, and I think we're all adequately paid and fairly paid for the job that we do running Woodbridge Township.
And you vote your own raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Mr. Mitch,
Yeah.
I would just like to make a comment. Mr. Maris, I recall when I started, the salary was $8,000, and I met with a councilman from Roselle at the time, and his salary, and they're a town about a quarter the size of Woodbridge, his salary was $16,000. That was back in 2012. He had double the salary of a Woodbridge council person.
Thank you.
Only 5 minutes and a lot of questions to be asked. I want to bring it right to the point, Mayor. Our last council meeting, we will talk about School 45. We will talk about the KSB property that you said it's the contaminated radioactive site or something like that. And what really struck me was you said that we don't own it. The property is either one on Rowe Avenue, and we don't own any KSB. And then most important, you say you don't know who owns it. And that's very kind of you must know who owns it because...
Don't know who owns what? What property are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Rowe Avenue where you're supposed to build a 45 school, and I'm talking about the property in KSB that you're going to put a power plant over there.
I explained what I meant. I don't know the technical owner. I still don't. I know it was used by Premier Die Casting. The owner could be the owner of Premier Die Casting. It could be his family. It could be a real estate investment trust. It could be an LLC or LLP or any kind of entity with any kind of name. It could be completely separate investors. I don't know who owned the property. I don't care who owned the property. They sold it to the redeveloper. It doesn't matter to me who owned it. I know what it was used for. It was Premier Die Cast.
Yeah.
I could not tell if I was in front of a judge holding my hand on a Bible. I could not tell you who owned it, nor do I care.
Well, you should care because who pays tax? He owns the property, right? So I'm sure you know.
There's 33,000 tax lots and blocks in the town. Do you think I know who owns them all?
No, of course not. I don't expect you to.
All right, well, I don't know that one.
When you're spending $35 million on something, you want to know who owns it.
I know what it was. It was Premier Die Casting. I don't know the technical entity that owned it.
Now,
if I say it was owned by the guy who owns Premier Die Cast, and it turns out his wife owns half, you would say to me, you lied. That you told me the guy owned it. Leonard is his name. You'd say Leonard owned it.
So you just don't know. Maybe you lost, maybe kind of a...
I know they sold it to the redeveloper, and they're out of the question, out of the equation.
Then, of course, the KSB property that you want to build a site, I say, how you clean it up? You say you don't know?
It's a private transaction.
Private transaction.
The redeveloper bought Jessup Manufacturing at 177 Smith Street. They bought half of the lot at 199 Smith Street, which is a house on the corner with a side lot that they sold the side lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did.
Okay. Now, we talk about the power plant, this 100 acres that's supposed to be contaminated, that you said it's radioactive. How are you going to clean this up? And
We're not going to clean it up for the third meeting in a row. We're not going to clean up land we don't own. You need to understand that. You think we're cleaning up the land at the school site? We're not. You think we're involved in the transaction in KSB? We're not. You think we're cleaning up radioactive land in the other section of KSB? We're not. It's being cleaned up under the guise of DEP regulations and EPA regulations, and it'll be cleaned to the proper standard. They cleaned the front part. They built the power plant. They're cleaning the back part, and they're putting in wetlands and boat docks and trails and hiking and everything like that. And they're going to clean the rest of the land, which might be the second power plant if the state approves it. We're not cleaning it up. We're not in charge of it. We don't know what they're doing. It's subject to federal and state oversight, not municipal.
Okay, so we don't have nothing to do with it, and we don't know who owns it? You don't know.
I didn't say no. Well, I know who owns it. Competitive Power Ventures owns it. That's who applied for the license to get a power plant, a second power plant. They own it.
They own the
I never said I didn't know who owns it. I know who owns it.
Okay.
You got to stop putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm not.
You got enough trouble with the ones that come out of yours.
Before it's 45 school, isn't the same developer that's supposed to build a school, he owns the warehouse, that built a warehouse in the back?
Say that again?
The big warehouse behind the 45, isn't the same developer that's supposed to build a school?
The school was building the school, not the developer.
No. The people that were supposed to build a 45 school for $35 million.
There was nobody that was supposed to build the school. It never went out to a contractor or bid to figure out who would build the school. We don't know who was going to build the school. It never got that far.
I know you didn't get it that far.
Then why'd you ask who's the builder?
Mayor, talk about some of those properties, the ones that, you said about, in Ford's, the Ford's Theater, the 50 units they're supposed to build in the same site where the Ford's Theater is now. And you did not know who is the developer. And
I never said that. You never asked that. Why are you putting words in my mouth?
I asked you, then fine.
5 minutes up, Mr. McFerrin. Thank you.
Well, let me just clear it up. Wick Builders is going to buy that site. We're actually going to go to the redevelopment agency. They're going to buy that site from the redevelopment agency. They're going to match what's in Olson Tower. They're going to build 55 apartments. Wick Builders. And then the housing authority is going to sell that Olson Towers to Wick Builders, and they're going to build brand new apartments. Exactly like what happened downtown. The housing authority sold Stern Towers to Wick Builders, but first Wick had to replace the apartments, so he built Red Oak over next to Sycamore Senior Center. He built those apartments. The 50-plus apartment renters from Stern Tower moved to Red Oak. They're thrilled beyond comprehension with brand new apartments instead of a 60-year-old concrete jungle. And they knocked that down, and they built the beautiful park at Woodbridge. This has been explained over and over again. I know who owns all the properties, except technically, I don't want to give anybody an answer for that site because I don't know the technical owner of the property. And if I'm wrong, and I say somebody, and it's like I said, it's his family and not him, you'll come back and say the mayor lied. So I'm not going to give you an answer because I don't know. And because it doesn't matter. It's sold. It's done. They're out of the equation. I don't care if Mickey Mouse owned it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Your time's up. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Oh, my God.
Abhijit Deshpande, Islin. I'm here to talk about the various yoga initiatives that we are taking on behalf of Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangha, Woodbridge chapter. Yoga is an ancient practice rooted in Indian way of life. It began as a spiritual practice but has become popular as a way of promoting physical and mental well-being. Although classical yoga also includes other elements, yoga as practiced in US today typically emphasizes physical postures, breathing techniques, and meditation. There are very different yoga styles ranging from gentle practices to physically demanding ones. For Woodbridge Township, I'm here to inform everyone about few of the yoga initiatives that we are bringing for the community. They are free of charge. They will be conducted by the yoga certified instructors. I'm one of them. And we have already started doing some yoga training for the physical education teachers in collaboration with the Woodbridge Township School District. We're extremely thankful for that particular partnership. As part of the HSS, we have launched what we call as Health for Humanity Yogathon. This is going to be our 16th year. 2023 will be the 16th year of this yogathon. And as part of this, in this township for Woodbridge, we will be conducting this yogathon open for the community on 7th of Jan, 14th of Jan, and 21st of Jan, 3 days. These are in partnership with the town, with the school district, and obviously we are thankful to all of you for have been helping us to do these kind of initiatives. Now, last year, about 150 plus residents of the Woodbridge Township did participate into this, and we hope this year it will be much more. We also want to, so this is our really the first initiative. The second one, from 28th onwards, we want to continue to do free yoga in Woodbridge Library every week, Saturday morning, about 90 minutes. Everybody is invited for this particular initiative. We have already given you some of the flyers. We would request your esteemed officers to please publicize this in the township so that more and more people can choose yoga as the preferred way of lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good, Council President. I think you were the one I met at the health fair, and we talked about this. We're happy to help you publicize this.
Yes.
It's a school. It's at the school, so it's mostly their effort. But we will certainly help with the publicity. If you're doing anything in our libraries, please let us know, and we'll publicize it.
Thank you, Mayor.
What Saturday do you begin?
This will be on 7th, 14th, and 21st.
Yes.
7th, 14th.
Jan.
All right.
Yeah, and from that, every Saturday throughout the year, we want to do this. But that will be in the library.
All right.
I'll come back with the more details.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening? Hearing no other comment, can I get a motion that the public comment portion be closed?
Motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public portion is now closed.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. At this time, we'll go to our agendas. My agenda's in order. Let's have one statement. This is my last meeting as your council president. Thank you. This is my last meeting as your council president. My term started on a sorrowful note, the passing of one of our own, Councilwoman Nancy Drum. She will forever be cherished in our hearts and minds. I am forever grateful to have called Nancy my friend. She is truly missed. I'd like to thank my councilmates for their support, trust, and opportunity to lead this team. You are all unique in a special way and hold the community you serve close to your hearts. Mr. Mitch and your staff, thank you for your guidance and support throughout the year. To our mayor, chief of staff, business administrator, our directors, employees, thank you for your support and hard work, answering our concerns, providing great services to the residents of our community. To the public, I appreciate and respect your concerns and your passion for change. Despite sometimes our difference of opinions on issues, I value your purpose. Lastly, to my family, without your support and understanding, none of this would be possible. I love you all. On that note, I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and a happy, healthy, and safe New Year. Thank you. Vice President Picaro.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you for your service. Job well done. My agenda's in order. I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Got me quick. Councilman Small's excused. Councilwoman DeJesus.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank you and Vice President Councilman Ficarra for a job well done this year. You treated everyone that came to the mic with respect and dignity, and we appreciate everything that you did and how you led this council. I would like to wish everyone happy holidays, Feliz Navidad, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah. May you all have a healthy and safe New Year. I want to take a moment also to thank Councilwoman Meehan for the work that she does during Thanksgiving and Christmas. It is an amazing, at times heartbreaking, but very fulfilling work that she does, how she manages. I helped the PBA this year, and it is such, it's a job unto itself to get the list of the families in need and to make sure that we service everyone. So she does it for Thanksgiving, she's doing it now to bring Christmas to deserving children in our township. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for everything that you do. For the last 12 years, you've undertaken this, and you do a fabulous job. And thank you for being such a blessing to the residents in Woodbridge Township. I would like to congratulate Councilwoman McAuliffe in getting sworn in today. You came in and took, but how do you guys say it, the bull by the horns, and ran, and you're doing a phenomenal job. Nancy, I'm sure, is looking down and is very proud of you. And I want to thank the PVA, least of all, because they've also this year have, again, we believe here on council that we have a phenomenal police department, the job that they do in service to our community. And this year, I think even more so because the PBA raised funds during October and November. And they decided that those funds will go back to our residents in Woodbridge Township. And they did it by helping Debbie and I bring Thanksgiving meals to families in need in our township. And they are doing it again this Saturday by bringing joy to deserving children. Every child is deserving, but people have been having a hard time after the pandemic. And this Saturday, the PBA, our police officers, are going to take some children and they're going to shop with them. And I think that is going to bring so much joy to the children and to the families, but it's also, again, building community relationships. Our police department has undertaken this, and I've seen it particularly more this year with these efforts, building relationships in our community. And I'm so thankful again for the blessing that they are in our community. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, unas felices Navidades, un próspero año nuevo a todos. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Council President Bauer. Just a quick statement for Councilman Small. Port Reading tree lighting was a huge success. Thank you to Erica, Joanne, and all the members of the Port Reading Fire and EMS for a successful night. The light parade, we saw huge crowds lining all the streets in the township. I'd like to thank all the participants and congratulate all the category winners. Most of all to our municipal clerk, John Mitch, for all his time and efforts making this such a success event. I'd like to thank Mayor McCormick, my fellow councilmates, township administrators, and our township employees for making 2022 a great year in Woodbridge Township. Finally, to Council President Bauer, thank you for your guidance and leadership, but most of all, your friendship, and congratulations for a job well done as president this year. From Councilman Small's family and himself to all the residents of Woodbridge Township, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the best in the new year. On to my agenda. My agenda is in order, Council President. I'd just like to thank you for your excellent leadership this year as Council President. It was an honor and pleasure to serve with you. You were extremely fair and always communicated with Council and the residents. I'd also like to thank Council Vice President Ficarra, my fellow councilmates, Mr. Mitch, and the ladies in the clerk's office, the mayor administration, and all the departments for another successful year in 2022. Congratulations, Councilwoman McAuliffe, on your swearing in. It'd be a pleasure to work with you for another 3 years. My family and I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you might celebrate it well and healthy, and all the best in the new year. Thank you to all our emergency responders, fire, EMS, our Woodbridge Police Department, CERT, and all of our public works and township employees. God bless America. Thank you, Council President Bauer.
Thank you. Councilwoman Meehan.
Thank you, Council President. It's really hard when you're at the end because you guys take all of the things I want to say. But with what everybody has said, I pass that on wholeheartedly. Liz, you and I have been working together now for the past few months, and I couldn't have done it without you. We've found families where the gentleman came up and said the council does nothing and we shouldn't make anything, they don't see what we do behind the scene. All of us know that. And people could yell at us and tell us we're worthless and we should resign. They don't know what we do every day and how much we care about this community. So I just want the public to know that. We don't go back and forth yelling with people, but we know what we do. So I don't think we have to defend ourselves. But Howie, thank you for your leadership. You have always led this council this year with kindness and compassion and fairness and respect, and that's not always an easy thing to do. So thank you for your leadership. You led our team with grace, so thank you so much, and congratulations, Sharon. I know you're going to do great here, and we're looking forward to Greg moving in for our next president. So thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, happy everything, and I hope everybody has a peaceful new year. Thank you.
Thank you. In case you didn't know, Greg.
In case you didn't know.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda, I just have a few items that I want to mention. The job bank, FEMA is hiring. This is a great time for people to capitalize on There will be a lot of people stepping down that are seasonal, so, I'm sorry, that was FedEx. But for FEMA is hiring, and FedEx, there's a lot of shifts that are open, 12 to 10, $18.25 an hour, and 10:30 to 9 a.m. is $19.25 an hour. And there's tuition assistance, which is $5,250 per year. Substitute teachers are also hiring, and you can find that on the Woodbridge Township website. New Jersey Transit, to be a car cleaner, is $25 an hour, and an assistant conductor is starting at $38 an hour. BASF and Environmental Industrial Services Corporation, they have laborer positions for $16 to $18 an hour, and drivers between $25 and $30 an hour. Our recreation basketball practices have begun, and 1,100 kids are signed up and playing on 100 teams. Games will begin in January after the fundamental practices in December, and that's really what our recreation program is all about, is developing young and aspiring basketball players, both boys and girls. Our indoor recreation soccer registration is closing soon, so please visit the Recreation Department website. When it comes to, I know that everyone has touched on this tonight, but I know that one constituent questioned our salaries. I would say that it's fair to say that I know that you all end up in the negative every year, because between our own donations to other organizations, our time that we volunteer, I don't look for more money. I do enjoy this, and I've been doing it for a long time, but one thing that they don't understand is for many, many years, the council declined a raise, and we were way behind our neighboring townships. We were significantly behind. So in the past few years, a few cost of living increases. Our salary is still behind most of the councils in neighboring towns that are smaller than our town. And so I know, and I see all the work that you all do. I see the work that the mayor does in the administration and how much time that they put in, and I know that they're worth every penny. Councilman Bauer, I want to say thank you very much for your year of leadership. I know it's been said that you've treated everyone with respect, which I believe you did. You were thoughtful in your responses, and you always made sure you communicated, whether it was an electronic email or someone that came to the microphone. You did your best to give them an answer. In times, we don't answer everything, because there are times when it's they want to know our opinion of something, and our political stance. That's something that we can share, but they can also determine that based on how we vote. So I think that you served with distinction, and I appreciate your leadership, and I'm going to miss you up there banging the gavel. To Sharon, congratulations. I've known you a very long time, and I'm so happy to sit on this side of the dais with you. You served our community in many ways, and right now I think you come here, and Corey mentioned it about how you come very prepared, and you're ready to discuss issues and topics in First Ward and the township as a whole. I know you'll do fine. All right, and I just want to wish a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, and I would like all of our first responders, our police department, to remain safe during this holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Patel's excused. Councilman McCullough.
Thank you, Council President. I'm really the last one to go, I think. So, everybody else said happy everything for everybody. Thank you so much for your guidance in my first year of the council, and to all the other council mates. Also, you all gave me a lot of guidance and helped me in very areas. So I appreciate all that. I look forward to the next 3 years serving with you guys to make sure that we can keep Woodbridge just as good as it is now. And I want to wish everybody in town happy holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate. May you and your families have a blessed holiday season. Be safe, and just know that family is always there for you, which is very important. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. My agenda is in order. Happy holidays to everybody. Also a pleasure working with you this year, and your accessibility was nonstop, which is great. And to Councilwoman McAuliffe, best wishes in your next 3 years.
Thank you. Director Hubbard.
Nothing this evening, thanks, Council President.
Thank you. Director Darden.
Thank you, Council President. This is our standard file resolution. It's that time of year when we will be renewing all our community development block grant agreements with various agencies throughout the town and the area. So that will be before you next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Brewer.
Thank you, Council President. One item for action is CME Associates, the construction phase services for the improvements to the Route 9 Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Administrator Zimmerluca.
Thank you, Council President. Just first, on behalf of Mayor McCormick and the administration, I'd like to thank you for your hard work, leadership, guidance, and your outstanding communication with the public. It's been a pleasure working with you this year. Also, congratulations, Councilwoman McAuliffe. We look forward to working with you. I think we do that almost on a daily basis now, but we do look forward to that. I have one item, and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, celebrate it well, as Councilman Spiller said, and a blessed holiday and a blessed New Year. With that, I got one item on my agenda, and it's a tax and sewer overpayment. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Legal.
Yes, thank you, Council President. We have one item. We have an easement agreement for 106 Main Street. That's the Strickland Steakhouse that is being built. They needed a little bit of room to accommodate a wheelchair ramp at the back of the building, so we're granting them a small easement to facilitate that.
Motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Good evening.